for tuning in and watching another video from your girl. I'm 80s Forever. I do apologize that it's been so long. It's been a couple months since I last did some filming, but with everything going on, COVID especially, it's been a time. However, I'm back, and this specific video is actually about those who have tuned into my Instagram. I've been getting a lot of questions in regards to what I practice, my spiritual belief, witchcraft, and all of the above. So this specific video is going to be about the top 10 questions that you guys asked me in regards to the craft. So first question, what is witchcraft? Depending on in which culture you actually ask that question to, the term witchcraft is actually a broad spectrum term, so it has many different definitions. There's definitions from the Hispanic culture, of course, Hispanic Dominican culture, American culture, Native American culture. So the term witchcraft is a broad spectrum word. It does not have just one definition. In the light that I use that word in, it is the practice of special abilities, from candle work, shamanism, paganism, spells, enchantments, chakras, that you pretty much practice, and it's a force of energy that is mostly positive. But again, witchcraft has many different walks, many different paths. There's not just one. So to just put it in a nutshell, what is witchcraft? Well, witchcraft, in a sense, is you. You are that powerful being. You use your abilities, your energy, to do the candle work, to do the incantations, to do quote-unquote spell work, to do tarot card readings, and much more. So in a nutshell, witchcraft is not just one thing. It is many different special abilities that has been practiced since the beginning of time, so to speak. There's been traces of witchcraft that go back well to the 16th century. So it's been quite some time. So I hope I was able to actually answer that question correctly for you guys. As I said, it has more than one meaning, and if someone wants to drop a little knowledge in the comments below, feel free. If you didn't like that answer, I do apologize. So question number 2. Book of Shadows. A lot of you have been wondering when I say BOS, or I use the term BOS, which stands for Book of Shadows, what is a Book of Shadows? I will show you mine. So it's a little bit heavy. So this is my Book of Shadows. As you can see, it's gotten quite thick. It wasn't originally this thick or this big. But a Book of Shadows is a magical journal, so to speak, that you and those who practice any type of craft or spiritual things, you place your spells, incantations, the results, knowledge, how did something turn out, the knowledge that's passed along. Some people have knowledge that's passed along through their bloodline, down their family history, any knowledge that you want to pass on. This is your journal of your entire journey, spiritual wise. This I actually got from a really cool store here called the Midnight Sun in Jacksonville Beach, Florida. I love these bindings that it has on the spine here. I love how thick it is. It actually has the Tree of Life engraved on it, and this is a leather cover with the clasp here, which kind of gives it a vintage vibe. I love this book. I've had it for probably like almost a year now. So yeah, it's mine. But some people's are a little bit bigger, believe it or not. Some people's are smaller. So that is what a Book of Shadows. So question number 3, what is an altar? For me, my altar is the place where I feel the most powerful. Why?
Because I'm the fucking supreme.
No. Exactly. Now, it is a place, honestly, that you make your offerings to your spiritual deities, to your ancestors. It is a way to communicate or commune with them. It is a place that you go for praise, to be thankful for things, or to give thanks for things. It is a place that you also can ask for things, but you always want to give before you ask, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But it is a place where you just have an altar to praise what it is that you are trying to praise, a place of power that you can make all your own. I do believe your altar should also be something that you keep sacred to yourself. I'm not going to show you guys my altar because I do have a very large altar, but here's a couple pictures of some altars that Some people have made public, and take a look. Many different kinds. So, the next question. Can only those who practice witchcraft have a book of shadows? The answer to that, no. There are some people who practice witchcraft. There are some people who practice hoodoo or voodoo. There are some people who practice a couple other things. But no, a book of shadows, as I described it at first, a book of shadows is your own personal journey that you're doing with your craft. It can be any size. I prefer the larger size because you have a lot more space for writing, and you don't have to worry about staying in margins. It's just one big open area for you to express yourself. So the answer to that is no. Not just people who practice witchcraft can have book of shadows. It can honestly be anyone who practices anything spiritual, typically. So, the next question. Do witches worship the devil? That's a tough one. I want to say no, because I do not. But again, as I explained, those who practice witchcraft have many different paths. You do have Satanists who are out there. They believe in the Dark Lord. They believe that that is who they choose to worship, and that is someone that is their preference. I don't judge. It is what it is. But is that a standpoint and a staple for all witches, all Wiccans, all pagans? Absolutely not. You have different witches who walk different paths. Some believe in the threefold law. Not all do. Some are more eclectic. Not all witches believe in Satanist or believe in the Dark Lord as someone that they decide to worship. There are many different witches with different paths. So the answer to that question is no. Not all witches worship the devil. All right, so now we're getting to the hot button questions. So I do want to put a disclaimer up. If I offend anyone in what I'm about to say, please, I apologize. That is not my intent, and that is not the intent of these questions. These are questions that you guys gave me to get my input on, so yes. So the question, witchcraft, is it just for women or men of European/Caucasian descent, and is voodoo/hoodoo for those women or men of color? I want to say no. There are plenty of black witches, such as myself, and I've met hundreds of others, men as well as women, just as much as I have friends who are not people of color who are witches. There are quite a bit of people I know who practice voodoo and hoodoo who are people of color, and there are some who are not. Both have been practiced by many different races over the course of time in history. In hindsight, both voodoo and hoodoo, as well as witchcraft, have been practiced by both races over the course of time in history. It does not mean one is more superior than the other, and it does not mean that one race should practice one and another race should practice another. No. I'm not going to go down the history line of where it all started, but I will say the answer to that question is no. You can be any race and practice witchcraft and follow your own spiritual path. You can be any race and follow voodoo if that's what you choose to do. So I'm not going to exclude any races from either or. I don't believe that. Today, there we go. So, should you practice whatever it is that you're practicing, such as witchcraft, because they're pertaining to that, alone or with a group? To be honest, when I first started practicing the craft, I want to say I probably was about 19, and I was more of a solitary witch. I practiced alone. I did tarot card readings. I brushed up and gained on my knowledge, learned a lot of things, jot down things in my book of shadows. Once I felt comfortable and confident in my information that I obtained and in my practice, I started venturing out. There's Witchvox. There is many different Facebook groups. There are a lot of other witches out here in the world. As I said, I brushed up and gained all my knowledge and gained information. And once I felt confident, I started to reach out to others. There's many different social media platforms and sites and groups that you can find others that are just like you, who practice craft, who practice whatever spiritual things that you practice, and you don't have to necessarily be alone. Once you feel confident, it's okay to practice with others. It's okay to also not practice if you want to be a solitude witch and decide to practice on your own. That is also okay. So you don't have to do one or the other. Choice is up to you. I typically practice alone, but I've met some great people in different states, and we've hung out a couple times and practiced together. Do witch hunters still exist? I want to say the term witch hunter is a little bit dated, but just like there are people in this world who some people don't agree with necessarily, and they may want to harm them because they don't agree with maybe what your religion is or what do you practice. I do believe, I'm quite sure somewhere in the world there are some people who do not believe or do not want to be around or associated with spiritual beings and those who practice the craft. And they could possibly want to hurt you. So I'm not going to necessarily say witch hunters do exist, but I'm definitely not going to say they don't exist. Also, I did read an article not too long ago about something crazy. Some guy and girl somewhere on the Arizona side were like seeking out witches and those who practice any type of spiritual things. They considered it unnatural and just not a way to be. And they were trying to cause harm to people like us. So, not necessarily going to say they were witch hunters, but with that term and phrase and what it means, so I would say, yeah, maybe they do still exist. So you always want to be careful who you let know or spread that you do practice, because not everybody has your best intentions. So be safe out there, people. So we're getting down to the final two questions. So now this one. What are some key things I think you should have at your altar? Honestly, everything that's important to you. I believe if you are a person that is practicing witchcraft, you should have a candle that represents every element. If you can't do candles, maybe you actually get the elements. Maybe have a glass of water, maybe a little, maybe some shells from the beach. Of course, wind is always there. Maybe some leaves or some seasons to represent earth and nature. So you want to make sure that you have all key things that are important to you. If you have an altar that is worshiping your ancestors that might have passed on, maybe pictures of them to commune with them and speak with them. Definitely as some white candles, I feel. White candles are great for positive energy and communing with positive spirits, I'd say. But in a nutshell, I can't tell you exactly what to have at your altar, but I believe having things that are greatly important to you, and depending on what kind of altar it is. Like I said, if there were some ancestors that might have passed on, having pictures there with them helps. Having elements of nature, every element there helps. Earth, air, fire, and water. Some seasonings such as cinnamon and nutmeg and things like that that bring prosperity to you. Maybe even some crystals, amethyst. There are a couple of things that you could have that are of great importance to you. So whatever is important to you and your spirituality, you should definitely have it at your altar. Here, we made it to question 10. So here we go. So have I ever practiced tarot card readings? Yes, I have. I've been practicing that actually more than any of my other craft. I've been doing that since I probably was about 19 or 20. You know what's so crazy? Actually, my sister just asked me about getting a new deck of tarot cards. I have 2 decks of different tarot cards, different meanings, but I have been doing tarot readings for quite some time. More so on myself, as well as a couple friends that I have that I practice with. But I have not done it as like a profession or anything like that. I actually do other things for a career, but it is an amazing thing to do. It is so fun. So if you guys have a chance to go out and get tarot cards, get them, practice, have fun, learn the card meanings. You'll love tarot cards. I have 2 different decks. I'm always looking for another deck that calls to me. You want to make sure with your tarot card deck it is something that you relate to. You don't just want to go willy-nilly and grabbing one. Get one that you actually feel a connection with, something that is calling out to you. You want something that's actually going to be used by you specifically because you chose this deck, or the deck rather chose you. So yes, love tarot cards. I've used them many. So I hope I was able to answer all you guys' questions. If you have any more detailed questions, feel free to message me if you want to privately, or you can put them down below in the comments. I'm going to start answering questions on here as well as on my Instagram for anyone who wants to actually talk about anything more privately and not necessarily in an open manner. I am promising to do way more videos than I have been doing. I got kind of slowed up again with COVID and everything that was happening in the world. So now that things have gotten so much better, there'll be a lot more filming. So look forward to that. Love you guys. See you later.